Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Success Series. As you can see, very different experience. My guest today is Charles Seltzer, the founder and CEO of Crosscourt. We're actually at his location here in downtown LA. You can see behind me, there's some guys in a 5-on-5 right now. We just got out of a skill session. So again, today will be a little bit different than usual. But Charles, maybe kick it off for us. A little background on yourself, how this idea came about and what we're doing here at Crosscourt.
Thank you for having me. First of all, I'm excited.
Me too.
Big listener. I've listened to nearly all the episodes, so this is cool to be here. Started Crosscourt. First of all, I'm from Philadelphia. Born and raised there. After high school, I decided to take a gap year because I didn't get into any college that I wanted to go to. I wanted to go to Tulane because my two older cousins went there, and that was the only school I visited.
Right.
My grades weren't very good out of high school. So I said, let me take a gap year. I'll figure things out. I'll work, reapply for schools, and then hopefully I'll get into Tulane. I worked for 6 months or so selling cars at a dealership. That's a whole other story.
I know you did that.
Oh, that's a whole other road.
Yeah. What cars?
Oh, no, these were dollar down used cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was my grandfather owned a car lot.
Okay.
And one of the people who worked for him when I was a very, very young kid ended up starting his own dealership.
Right.
So as a favor to my grandfather, he said, yeah, I'll give him a shot. So I started in the back doing collections. I was making phone calls. I was doing well. And so then he said, you know what, you can have a shot at being on the sales floor, which was where all the fun was, obviously. So I was doing sales of dollar down used cars for 6 months. And it was probably up to that point, the best experience of my life, because all my friends were in college.
Right.
I was working at a car dealership, and I was simultaneously feeling, what am I, some lack, and all my friends are going to Ivy League schools and this and that, and I'm selling cars. Not sure where I'm going to go to school, but at the same time, it was incredible because I was able to make money, meet incredible people, and get a real world experience at 18 years old. So did that. I applied to Loyola New Orleans because in revisiting the whole college decision, I had to use my high school grades and all those scores. So it wasn't like I was going to get into Tulane with, just because I took a gap year. Went to Loyola New Orleans because I really wanted to be in New Orleans. I said I might love it here and stay here. Loyola New Orleans was a huge turning point in my life because it was, I think, the first time in my life where I really worked hard for something, like consistently for 9 months. I went there and I said, for 9 months, I'm going to work. I want to get a 4.0. And I was a 2.3-ish high school student.
High school, yeah.
And I said, for these 9 months, I'm going to focus, and I skipped so many Friday nights out. I was in the only one in the library type stuff.
Wow.
Because I just wanted to get a 4.0 and see what could happen. And I just wanted to go to Tulane. After 6 months, I had a 4.0, and I had to start applying to schools. And I started thinking, I could get into some different schools beyond Tulane, because at the time it was known, if you went to Loyola New Orleans and you got a 3.2 or 3.3, I think this was the rumor that what people said, you can get into Tulane. I had a 4.0, so I said, if I could go anywhere in the world, where would I want to go? And I thought USC. I'd never been to LA in my life, but I watched a ton of Entourage.
Sure.
So I applied to only LA schools, and I think I ended up applying to Tulane. I don't remember if I did or didn't. Got into USC, which was minor miracle, and ended up going to USC, and that's how I ended up out in Los Angeles. And that was a huge turning point in my life because I'd never been to Los Angeles before.
Right.
And if you're not from Los Angeles, especially coming from the East Coast, Los Angeles feels like a different country. I remember the first week I was home, I called my parents and I said, this Los Angeles is as different a culture to me as Italy is, Paris.
Wow.
Like the people, the vibe, just the whole entire thing. So freshman year I ended up going there as a sophomore. 3 years there, studied political science, didn't do well. And so at that point, I was like, I'm done. I did my
Paid my dues.
Yeah, paid my dues.
Right. Okay, so talk us through. You're living in LA, USC. At that point, was there a vision for Crosscourt? Did you know you wanted to start your own company? Like, where was your mind at that time? Yeah.
I always thought I was going to go into real estate. So every summer, I interned at a different kind of real estate situation. And it was only as I was graduating, my sorry, it was at the year after I graduated. So I worked in real estate for a home developer after graduating. And because my girlfriend at the time, now wife, Nicole, was a senior when I was just graduated.
Okay.
I would go down to USC a lot to be with her and hang out. And I still had a lot of friends who were in school. And one of her housemates, her name is Delaney, her boyfriend, Brendan, I became close with because we were always over at their house together. And Brendan and I got close, and, we decided that after he graduated, we would live together. And so shortly after he graduated, I remember we were, texting ideas about different startups and stuff like that. And he said, man, it's really hard to play pickup basketball anywhere you go. It'd be awesome if you could go somewhere where you just checked in and you could play. And that was the genesis of Crosscourt. There was no grand scheme to be an entrepreneur. There was no dreams of growing up, I'm going to be an entrepreneur.
You weren't watching all the
No, I didn't watch a single video.
Really?
No,
None of them?
No.
You weren't, that wasn't your thing? That was
not even remotely. It was like, I want to do something in real estate because I saw it's what my dad did, my grandfather did.
Right.
And, this just kind of came about.
Right. And what year was that when you had the initial idea for Crosscourt?
Initial idea was probably 2018. It was 2018. I remember it was summer of 2018. And after the initial idea, the vision has always been the same, kind of what we're sitting in now. And there's degrees to this. This is kind of like V1 of the physical space. Of course, there's bigger, we want to do recovery and bigger gyms and, things like that. This continues to get better. But from day one, it was always, we want our physical space. But, it costs money to lease your own space, buy a space, whatever. And no one was going to give us money at the time. We started telling people this is what we want to do, like an indoor basketball.
Excited about it. It's like, I mean, even just hearing it, even though it's already come into fruition, it's like, it sounds like the coolest thing.
Right, and that's the thing is, so even now when I tell people the idea, people are like, oh, I had that idea.
Oh, really?
Everyone's had this idea. Let's make pickup basketball more convenient. Right. It's just that no one really has done it in this way.
Right.
So when we first started, went around saying, hey, this is what we want to do. Will you give us money? And the basic kind of feedback was, why don't you first see if you just kind of, what's the most minimum viable product?
Right.
Version of
this. For something like this.
Exactly.
Because how do you, right? Because you're paying for the experience.
And that was always the thing. Is we wanted to create an experience. It was, of course, we wanted to make pickup basketball better, but so much of it had to do with we wanted an experience so that people who aren't hardcore hoopers could come in and be like, wow, what great people, what a cool space. I can lift here. The music's awesome. It fits you as a person. And the basketball happens to be the nice kind of vehicle
together, yeah.
So what we started with was, renting courts throughout Los Angeles. So high school courts, rec centers, etc. And we made a really crappy Shopify page where it was $20 was the single product.
Okay.
You'd sign up for a game, and we brought refs and musics and jerseys.
High school gym. It's like a high school gym.
And the whole idea was if we can make this a little bit better than a pickup run. So what time the game is. Right. There's going to be 10 to 15 people. There's going to be refs, and we add some music and some other vibe to it. We could probably charge a lot more if we had our own space and if we just get enough traction with this. So we did that for about 2 years pre-COVID while working. At this point, I was working at another real estate company, and Brendan was working at another real estate company as well. And then COVID hit. We had a big fact here. We quit our jobs to go full-time with this a month before COVID.
Oh.
A month before COVID. We were like, we're ready to scale. We have the money. We had the check that enabled, I think it gave us 12 months of runway or something.
Really? What was it, how much did you raise initially?
It was $250 maybe.
That was enough for 12 months. That was
because the initial idea was to continue to scale it using other gyms.
I see. So you weren't going to build something.
And then okay, we have a lot of, more investors we talked to were like, this is exciting. You have momentum. COVID hits. We pumped the brakes a little bit.
Sure.
Have more time to, develop the business plan and really think through what this model would look like. Towards the end of COVID, we were able to go out to investors with a very thoughtful plan. We had some cash from the initial investments we had. We had some good names on board, and we're able to raise enough money to get this one going and functional.
Was it hard raise? Because you and I talked about raising was the first raise hard, or was Like, relatively speaking.
No, it's funny because the first one was the easiest one. We had,
Really?
we got very lucky with an investor who, it was like one of those stories that, a miracle story. We talked to him for 15 minutes and he said, I'm in for $500,000, which enabled this to happen.
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
No financial model, no debt.
Nothing. Because he understood the concept.
Right. He understood. He understood.
It was a very low valuation. He grew up playing basketball and kind of understood what we were trying to do and believed in it enough. And we didn't even have this location at the time.
Like, you have renderings? Were you showing him a visual of what?
No, it was
not even
it was
that.
like we were showing him the traction we had.
Okay.
We had some runway to to start building this, and we needed the rest to finish it. The club, and he believed in us and put in the money to get this one going and running. And the initial vision for this as well, I mean, because this has evolved so many times. We've been open for 2.5 years now. It started as just a bigger version, more curated of what we were doing in Santa Monica, West Hollywood, down all over the city, where we were only open from, I think, 5 to 7 p.m.
Okay.
for the 1 hour pickup games. You would reserve it.
Really? That was it?
No open gym, none of the weights you see behind you. It was literally just the turf area and the basketball court. And it was just a much bigger kind of scale. It was 4 sessions per month for $72.
Right.
And now fast forward, 2.5 years and a lot of pain and a lot of learnings, now it's a significantly better product. It's more value add to members. We want you to come here to be able to do more than just play basketball, and more than just play in a session. We have leagues. We just did the skills session,
Right.
One-on-one private training, the shooting machines, with the overall kind of vision of being, this is like your Equinox or Soul Cycle, but meets like Soho House, but for basketball.
Right.
It's a place where you're getting people who are, like-minded and love basketball, want to improve their lives, whether socially, physically, spiritually, through the game of basketball, whether it means meeting your next co-founder, getting in better shape. Like, there's all kinds of incredible stories here from the different kinds of members who come here and the different walks of life and the different backgrounds, who are just coming here to play a game that they played as kids, but it's obviously much bigger than that.
Right. And so when you think about your members here, and how many active members are at
400.
400 active.
Yeah.
How are you getting members? Is it word of mouth? Are people posting about it? Like, what's been the best mechanism for that?
Our members, number one.
Yeah.
Sharing it, because it's one of those things where there is nothing else like it. So when you come here, generally you tell your friends, like, wow, I just had the most incredible basketball experience. You guys got to try it. You guys got to try it. Another thing that we do, and we've done since the very beginning, is we're very proactive on the Instagram stories. So every highlight that, not every single one, but our session experience managers who are here really ensuring that you get checked in. Let me show you your lockers. Let me get you a water, a towel. Really ensuring that the vibes are on point.
Right.
And it's a very elevated, premium experience that you feel like you're part of a community. I know your name. I know, do you have a dog? Do you have a girlfriend, a boyfriend? What's happening with your life? So what they do as well is they film the sessions and like tagged 3-pointers,
and then they're reposting it, right?
And everyone wants to share them looking good on Instagram. So when you share that on your Instagram, people say, "Whoa, what is that place?"
Cool place, right?
So that's been a great one. Obviously, in the background, we run paid ads and Google ads. If you type in pick up basketball in Los Angeles, Crosscourt's at the top or near the top, depending on where you are. And then right now what we're doing a much better job at is partnerships with local businesses in the community. So going to nail salons, barber shops, those kinds of things, and doing partnerships to bring in offices, and hey, we'll do a group discount for you, things like.
So you're literally going to the local businesses here in the area. And how are you incentivized? Like, let's say you go to a nail salon. What do you?
So a barber shop.
Okay.
A local barber shop that we think has a lot of people who play basketball.
Right.
Hey, can you put these flyers at your front desk with a unique QR code? And in exchange, you can come here on a Sunday, whatever, Saturday when it's really packed, and cut people's hair, and we'll promo it and do a whole thing so that now you have people who've never heard of that barbershop before.
Right.
They get a haircut here. Whoa, where do you normally cut? It's right at the street. Boom.
That's incredible. So talk us through, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. You have different logos on the court here.
Yeah.
Talk us through Essentia. Talk us through Remy Martin.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So, short answer is a great partnerships person. Shout out Jordan Baruki, JB. I met Jordan through Yanni Huffnagel, the founder of Lemon Perfect, who I met through Techstars Sports. And I was talking to Yanni, and he said, you got to meet Jordan Baruki. He's in LA. I think he'd love what you're doing. Jordan saw what we were doing, and he's been around Los Angeles when he's a young guy, but he's grew up in the LA basketball scene and really believed in what we were doing and wanted to take it to another level. And had, he does a lot of business development work on his own, and he started bringing Crosscourt into his repertoire and really elevated because it's something I hadn't thought about. I was so focused on.
Oh, really? So initially it wasn't.
No, it was all about, because it's the core driver of our business is monthly recurring revenue through memberships.
Right.
And I hadn't thought about, partnerships and think about it like an NBA court, whose logos are on the court, who's on, what is their Gatorade? Is their barcode on the sidelines?
Right.
What I hadn't thought about that quite yet. I was so focused on the member experience and getting that right. So short answer is Jordan, and just starting with his relationships and, getting first Remy Martin and Kyle from Remy Martin to take a shot on us when that was the first kind of big partnership that we had, and he sponsored the first season, which helped us to get Essentia Water, and we just brought on Adidas with some jerseys who are doing the league, and it continues to grow as we've figured out how to add value to their platforms in a really organic way, because the people who are sponsoring Essentia, Remy Martin, Adidas, they want to interact with people in the most organic and thoughtful way possible.
Right. So that's their biggest, for them, their incentive is just getting in front of eyes that they maybe they're a target customer that wouldn't typically see it, or is it somebody?
Yeah, I think it's just interacting with people in a really organic way and thoughtful way. So if you were Adidas, or let's take Remy Martin as an example, and you wanted to do a basketball experience with Remy Martin, as the sponsor, you'd have to go rent a court, find the people and influencers, put an event together. Like, it's a lot of work for an event. Whereas for us, like, that's our bread and butter. We have the members. We have a lot of influencers who come in here and use this place to shoot content, etc. We have the space. We have the other members to promote the event to who want to be here for a fun event. So we're a really easy way for them to showcase their brand in a way that they feel is authentic to their brand, and showing, our members, you love basketball. I think you'd also love our brand if, you're going to the supermarket or whatever to buy a water or alcohol, whatever.
I think a lot of our audience, younger audience, and we always talk about it off camera. It's like most people, everybody has a good idea. And I think you and I have spoken, it's the easiest thing to have a good idea. Actually manifesting it is something completely different. So from the inception of idea of Crosscourt to actual manifestation, how much pain / uncertainty was there before you actually built a physical location? And then how do you deal with that today, right? Because you and I talk about it all the time. There's endless pain and challenges. So let's answer the first part of it, and then how do you deal with it currently?
When we first started, I think I was more naive, I would maybe say, to what it takes to do. Like, you just put one foot in front of the other, and you're so excited by the vision and what you're building. And you're like, when you talk about having certainty, you don't have to. It's not a mantra. Like, it's oh my God, this is going to be amazing. So even when there are setbacks, you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing out of, like, this is going to be amazing. I'm sure that this is going to work. As the stakes have gotten bigger, and now we have something, and you have investors' money, and you're so responsible for that capital, and getting them to make more money, and members' experience, and improving that, and doing everything you're just more responsible and alert and attuned to, like, what you've built. Like, you look around and you're like, while this is simultaneously great, it's also, just the beginning. Right. But there's, at least this is my experience. So, and more pain kind of comes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there's bigger challenges as you start doing bigger things.
Right.
And in the past, I would say that my way of dealing with that was just push and push and push to kind of get what I wanted in the way that I saw things happening. Because the ultimate vision is, this is a great product. People love it. We continue to get more members, et cetera, and only recently have I become a little bit more open to accepting that what I want is so, and how I want things done and when I want things done, it's almost childish to think that this is, that's the way it needs to be done.
Right. Just because you have, like, who are you?
What do I know? Like, I'm, young, relatively young in the business game. So just thinking about on that physical level, then obviously when you go into the spiritual level and
we don't know.
We don't know anything, So I've been, when setbacks, and the setbacks have been larger and the risks have been larger as it continues to grow. That's the big thing that I've been kind of working on, is that when these challenges and things don't go my way, when I want, how I want, etc., is wow. The classic Kabbalah tool of thank you. Pause, what a pleasure. Like Kabbalah, what? And truly, for the first 5 years of doing this, it was, I started studying Kabbalah roughly when I started this. It was like, pause, what a pleasure. I want to get there was no actual, like, what is
saying the word? There was no actual practice.
And the deeper pause and the deeper, like, acceptance, I think, is the word that resonates with me most. Like, simultaneously accepting that what's happening is happening, but also asking, what can I be doing to make this better because it's not really about me. It's about members want more locations, investors want everyone, the team here wants to see more locations, So it's, okay, I accept that it's not happening the way that I want and how I want it, but how can I push the ball forward and take that next step?
Right.
Just asking, what is that next step, and letting go and accepting that the answer is going to come, and just knowing that you got to work so damn hard, but less from ego and what I want and more from letting
everybody else. Also, everybody else. I love that perspective, right? It's like, you're not doing it just for Charles. You're doing it for Charles.
At this point,
it's nothing to do with Charles, right?
It's so beyond. And when we talked about responsibility, and there's people with significantly larger businesses who probably feel this, that when you're starting, and when I was younger and started this, there's much more ego involved.
Oh, still also because you haven't had any challenges yet.
Right.
You're like, I'm going to sell this company and buy a yacht, and that's...
There you go. That's why I started Crosscourt.
So you can have a yacht.
Right, no, but as you continue to grow and you have real, like, people, you have so many more people. I haven't even mentioned my family. You have a real responsibility to push in a way that is aligned with everyone wasn't good at when I was first starting, and still I'm not great at. I just, push to get what it is that needs to happen.
Right. I always think in my own company, like, and I don't have a cool, your company's a lot cooler than mine,
I don't know about that, but thank you.
It's different cool. But some days at the end of the day, I just sit in my 1,100 square foot office, and I just sit there and I, like, look around and I just feel the energy. If I had a place like this, I'd probably spend a lot of time alone here. Do you do that?
So this has been open for 2.5 years. There have been an immense, just getting this built out. Like, as a small example, we're building this out. The courts were down. A flood came through the roof.
Wow.
Brand new courts. That's $40,000 of damage, that we didn't have at the time.
Right.
Thank God, acted very quickly. And we literally, I remember, like, going out to get towel and, like,
you're
almost crying.
Wow.
Like, what are we going to do? And so there have been countless stories of that nature where there's simultaneous so much pain. There's been so much pain, and this just comes with a lot of stuff. It's like, I imagine, like, someone who owns a restaurant, the best restaurant in New York.
Right.
Like, you go 1 time, 2 times as a visitor, you love it. And it's like, oh, you must, when you're behind the scenes, there's times when I come here and it's exactly what I need. It's just like today. You need the release, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so grateful for what this is and the people who come here and get so much happiness out of this.
Right.
And then there's times when you come here and there's problems and...
Like, what are some of the things? Like, I've been here like maybe 15, 20 times. It's been flawless experience every single time I've been here.
Thank
honestly.
you.
So
you haven't been, the other 4,000 experiences are
where... Like, what goes wrong? Like, what goes wrong here?
A million different things.
Yeah.
I gave you the example of that. We had a flood in here.
Right.
Just 3 weeks ago.
Oh, 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
3 weeks ago, we had a flood in here.
Wait, it was right here in this area? Yeah,
right here. I'll show you pictures after.
It's better than the court, right? If it was on the court, then it would...
Right, not on the court.
Yeah.
And we still deal with the parking lot situation.
Yeah.
There's constant stress around trying to find, good stress. How do we improve? It's one of the biggest points of feedback is how do we improve the parking lot? Because it's a little bit choppy. how do you add more recovery stuff, and how do you like all these different. It's sometimes the stress between what you have and knowing what you want to do and elevate the experience for everyone. And then other times there's just the stress of sometimes, like I said, the flood, just things that come out of nowhere.
Crazy.
It's a, it's a human experience too. Sometimes on the court,
people get
the team, it's not the human experience of just, how about, getting the court in here. So we had a first court. We had plastic tiles, sport court. It was less expensive.
Right.
We didn't know that, if you use sport court's a great product for those certain people. For us, when you have members coming in 4 times, 5 times a week or in their 30s plus, which is, a good portion of our demo. It's not good. What?
Most of your clientele's in their 30s?
50%, 30 plus.
Wow.
It's not good for your knees. It's not as good as an authentic wood court. And we kept getting that experience. A brand new wood court is $125-ish thousand. We're in the market for one. One day I got a call from one of the people who were put a floater out there for a court. He said, if you can commit to buying this court in 48 hours, it's a Final Four used court.
Wow.
I can get it to you for $30,000.
Why?
Because after Final Four, after they're used, you can sometimes, they're not going to another destination.
You can scoop it up.
You get very lucky sometimes. And so that was 48 hours where we had to come up with $30,000 to, if we were going to improve that experience, not only come up with the money for it, and go through the money that we make here, and there's the risk that, we already had the fence. How are they going to get it in here?
The logistics of it.
That weren't, we didn't have the time to fully bake everything out, but it was kind of 70, 80% there.
Right.
And there was a lot of stress. Do we do this? Do we not? And what are we going to do with the exit? We also happened to get lucky enough, we sold the sport court 2 months later.
Oh, you're able to sell
for the same price as the new court.
It's 30 grand. Wow.
Right. So there's a lot of just little things as a startup that you deal with as well. And then on top of that, just the being in the human, the person-to-person business.
Right. I was talking to another founder about this the other day, and he was saying, he's like, nobody talks about just how painful and isolating it can be in building a company. Even people that, whether they've succeeded or failed, they make it seem like I started a company, I sold it, or I started a company, it didn't work. The amount of endurance and tolerance and resistance you have to just build a company is ridiculous. On those days where everything's going wrong, what's your coping mechanism? How do you get home and not just feel like you just want to blow up your life, right? How do you actually deal with that feeling on the worst days?
Not well.
Not well?
On the best days, I pause.
We like the honest
and say, "What a pleasure."
We don't need to hear that. We want the honest answer only. On the worst, what do you do? Do you get aggressive?
No.
Yeah.
If there's one strength I have, it's that the next day I can wake up, and it's like nothing happened.
Wow.
And it's like I'm just starting this company. The excitement. I don't have, there's no pump up speeches. I just wake up as though it's already
worked. Everything works out.
Everything's great. I just wake up excited. It's almost like I forget what I was dealing with.
Right.
But I still have to get to the next morning.
Right.
So when there's extreme challenges at 10 a.m., that's where obviously Kabbalah has helped. And as I get better at the tools,
right,
I get better at, if a crisis comes up at 10 a.m., I have a lot more tools. Breathing, number one. Number one is talking to the creator. That's by far and away the most common one. I will literally stand up, go outside, and whether it's 2 minutes or if I need 15, 20 minutes, just talk.
And how does that look like? Because some of our guys have spoken about do you talk and wait for an
literally
answer?
no.
You just
I just free flow talk.
That's it. And you're not listening to any feedback necessarily.
I'm probably doing it wrong.
No, I don't know.
This is a good point.
There's no right or no. The thing is, because you can get the answers later, right?
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I do it more as a way of doing push-ups almost, just to release stress, just for me. And I'm actually going to try what you said, is talk and wait for an answer.
You might have to be out there for more than 2 minutes if they did.
But that's my go-to, far and away my go-to. Other ones is I bought a trampoline, one of those little trampolines on Amazon.
Okay.
and just literally bounce up and
Bounce
down.
around.
Yeah, such a good one.
Yeah.
I really, it's the answer is a giant pause, a
Yeah.
version of whether it's a 2-minute, 15-minute, whether I want to breathe, whether I find that I can't use my mind, like journaling, reading Zohar, studying, like I have to do the opposite.
I see. No stimulation whatsoever.
Oh, exactly. I have to just
Right.
let go.
Right.
And on the worst days, everyone, however long you've been studying the wisdom or however successful you are, on the worst days, you short circuit
for sure.
and you get stressed out.
You take, you're reactive. Yeah.
But I've only recently have I realized that, like, if I can just get to bedtime, I almost always wake up as though, like, just make it to the next day.
Right.
Because I genuinely wake up with excitement and a new perspective and just being young, and nothing's as big a deal as I made it out to me.
Right.
Even the challenges dealing with day one, I look at them today and it's like,
that was nothing compared.
so I can only imagine it's
What-
number outside of using the tools, I'm very lucky to have great investors and advisors, people who invested obviously because they love basketball. They love the vision. They love it's early in a physical brick and mortar startup. And so I have a lot of people, and whether it's actual investors and advisors or, through the Kabbalah Centre, who are people who you've interviewed who have been absolutely incredible to me in providing advice and who are way further along in the game.
So we're at Crosscourt today. There's obviously visions for number 2, number 3. How does this experience get 10 times better just from where it is right now?
Yeah, number one
Yeah.
is recovery.
Right.
Just really, cold plunges, sauna, these Normatec boots, more of them in a separated space. Because we see that people who play basketball and come here are a lot more into playing basketball as their way of working out than they are weightlifting.
Right.
You want to create an ecosystem where they can keep playing as long and recover, and weights, a bigger weight system and just a bigger weight room
Right.
would be the next thing. That coupled with a bigger area to hang out, watch a game. We don't have showers at this one either.
Right.
Like, those are obvious kinds of things. So number one, it gets better with a really thoughtful recovery space. Number two is, more weight so you can use this as your everyday gym.
Sure.
And 2A would be almost like a mezzanine with TVs to watch the Laker game, like you have behind us.
Like a lounge, almost like a with like food
Right,
and drinks, that type of thing.
exactly. I don't know that
Yeah.
I'm open to going into like Soho House style
Right,
beer and
like
wine,
Light Bites,
etc. But more immediately is I should be able to come here after work,
Right.
get a quick protein bar, banana, whatever I need to fuel my session.
Get a little pump. Work.
Exactly.
Right.
And then, or if I play, I should be able to get a protein shake, protein bar, something a little bit substantial to hold me over to go to dinner.
Right. The staff, how many are you now? Like, how many employees do you have?
So we have 18 or 20.
Okay. And
team members.
how are they split out? What are their roles here? And
So it's almost like if you watch the Oklahoma City Thunder
okay.
post-game interviews, how like when one of them gets interviewed, the
They
whole
all come around
team.
and hover over.
That's what this should be, because
Okay.
at the end of the day, you could ask any member, and we do get feedback surveys, minimum quarterly, but also if after a week or two of being a member, you get an email. What do you love most? Number 1 or 2 for everybody is the team here.
Really?
Yeah, we're very, very lucky that from the GM, assistant GM, session experience managers, session officials, there's a love and a belief beyond, obviously there's the startup and excitement of being part of, I was at the first Crosscourt,
Right.
where there's going to be hundreds of them, and there's the career growth opportunity, but we have, a lot of the team has been here since we opened the doors.
Wow. Wow.
Renee, who's our,
Yeah.
who you met,
Yeah.
who's our general manager, was our first ever session experience manager.
Really?
Hayden, I think, was Jamani, Jakat, and Colin. They've all been here for so long, and I think that it's a real love of what we're doing and each other as well. Like, they hang out outside of work, you know, because
Right.
it's just like the members. You're bonded by basketball, which is I was joking with you before this. This is like the Kabbalah Centre, but for basketball. It's
Right.
Kabbalah for basketball. You know, because it's a way to release stress, to talk to people about what's going on, and for the team, it's no different. So the team is a massive, massive part of the success of this one, and it's the thing that I want to continue to lean on as we grow the business and try and replicate what, you know, they've done here, and building the intentional like team outings and bring them together, and
Right.
really hiring the right people who love not just the vision, because the vision gets old at a certain point. At a certain point, you come in here, it's like the vision of being a founder. It's great, but like every day you also have to do the work,
Right.
and you know, them really loving the work helps. You know, and basketball really helps.
Yeah. It's just an awesome place to work. Like coming here every day.
I
You're
hope
fall
so.
down
We're trying to do our
stage,
best.
Like what? Right. It's like.
And credit to them as
Yeah.
well, because they've been here through all the changes.
Right.
You know, we didn't have air conditioning when we first opened.
Yeah.
It's hot in here, it's cold in here, and they are the ones who have made this happen.
Molded
You know,
into what it is, right? 'Cause
Exactly. I'm behind the scenes. I'm
Right.
not in here every single day like
Right.
they are. You know,
They hear from members. They get the feedback.
correct. So the team is the number one part of this business.
Last thing I want to end with for our listeners, and I had a call with a 16-year-old kid yesterday from Miami. Actually, you should meet.
Crosscourt membership.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. Yes. And basically his mom had set up the call for us and wanted me just to talk to him about his life and what he's going through. And he's like, you know, I don't like school. I'm depressed. I don't have purpose. The same conversation every one of us have had at 18, 19. So if you look back at yourself when you're 16, 17, 18, or if you were talking to somebody, your younger brother, whatever, what would be your advice to them to figure out what they want to do with their life? But what's like the first step in getting closer to at least something that lights you up, something that motivates you on a day-to-day?
Short answer is find something that not that you love, like, because like not just that you love, but you are aware enough to say like, wow, I'm doing the work, and just keep trying the things that not only that like, oh, I love this, but like,
So that just
okay,
come to you, right? Or they're in front of you.
and that you're willing to do that. Like, okay, this actually is kind of hard, and other people aren't willing to do
Right.
this, but let me just keep, because everyone has something, as you know, everyone has that divine spark
Right.
within them, and you just have to keep trying and trying and trying. And I'm someone who had a terrible GPA in high school, went to a very competitive high school, and it was really hard, like, to come home, have, you know, all my friends going to very, you know, the Ivy League schools. I was
Right.
the one who wasn't going to college after school. It was hard for my mom. It was hard for me. It was hard
Right.
for my dad, hard for my family. But there was like, I really loved movies. Like, I was never concerned. I was like, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna make it.
I got my thing.
Right. And so even though I'm not doing movies, I followed that, went to USC, and now I'm here. I
Right.
met my wife at USC, met my friend, found Kabbalah,
Right.
started this business here, you know, and you just through working hard at what I was passionate about.
You'll eventually get led.
Yeah, you
right.
cannot just work. You can't just say, "Oh, I love watching TV shows."
Right. Someone to do
If
that.
you're willing to do love it and work hard, that's probably just do that, and it's okay if you're not good at the other
Right.
stuff.
Right. Let's end on a fun question. It's 2029, 2030. Crosscourt sells to Equinox for $2.5 billion.
Oh wow!
What do you do next? What comes next?
Figure out ways to give, understand what's the baseline for, work with. Shout out Hardy again. What is the baseline and what we're trying to build, and
Right.
set up the next generation for success and ensure that that's taken care of, and
Sure.
what kind of lifestyle do you want to live, and then find ways that are authentic to me and who I am at that point to share that thoughtfully in ways that are authentic to me. Whether it's basketball, the center, really figuring out ways to help the next version of me, and whether it's entrepreneurship, I have no idea what at that point where that's going to help people the most, that aligns with my soul. Like, I can't be, if you have that kind of money to, let's donate or give to something that doesn't resonate.
Resonated.
Right, where my unique spark can't elevate that
Right.
thing beyond just the money.
Right. Episode 55. Thank you for tuning in. Charles, message for you, for our sponsors.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Anyone who's listening, if you want to come check out Crosscourt, normally it's $45 for a day pass. If you're listening to this, use code SUCCESS at checkout and you can get a day pass for $20. So use code SUCCESS at checkout and you can get a day pass, which means you can hang out here all day. You can sit here in the Normatec booths, lift, do skills, play in a pickup game, $20. Use code SUCCESS, cross-court.com.
Success, not success series. Thank you guys.